I think we should use the little intro because we figured out how to upload it in Riverside. Let's do
Let's
it.
fucking let that shit rip. Are you gonna do it? Or do you want me to? Mel.
Melanie's here. Okay, cool. Okay, we're gonna do it, and then we're gonna let Melanie in.
Okay.
So
Oh my
good.
god.
Last episode, season 1. We're gonna have some old guests pop in. Melanie, we just started our wrap-up episode. So happy you could join us. Good to
Melly
see you.
Mel,
Good to
what's
see
up?
you.
How are you?
I'm so glad to see you guys. I've been loving every episode. They're so good.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. Well, we're
Thank you
so glad
so
that you could
much.
join. For those of you who are listening who have not listened to Melanie's episode yet, Melanie Mishler, I think that you're just like a transformational entrepreneur. You're a healer. You're a former photographer, but will always be a photographer. You are a manifestation expert. You're an author or you're a podcaster. So go listen to her episode. But we are so happy to
Do
have you
it.
here because it's probably been almost a year since we talked to you, and a lot has happened.
Oh my gosh, so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Fill us in because Dave and I are going to talk about like the process of this podcast and wrapping things up. But we want to hear from you. Like,
Life has taken a total 360 since the last time I talked to you guys. So I'm constantly on like, I'm absolutely sure I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yes. Amazing. I was gonna
But
say,
I know for sure everything always works out in my favor and everything always, just turns out for the best. So I do carry that knowing even when life is completely different than what we planned.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
and when we talked to you, you were in California,
hmm
and I don't
Mhm.
think you're in California right now.
No, I'm in
No.
Belize now. Yeah. So I'm here full time.
So I think we talked to you
Amazing.
before that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We were getting ready to move.
yeah, because I was gonna say we did talk to you at a pretty. I remember you being in kind of a. You were talking about a lot of things that were about to happen. We caught you at a quote unquote exciting time. Things were sort of in place, but not quite manifested quite yet.
Yeah. Yeah, we were just closing our businesses in California, getting ready to move to Belize. We're in Belize, just the whole plan kind of shifted. So now I'm like, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? Because my husband and I are getting a divorce now, which was totally unexpected, but it's a really, really good place to be right now. And I turned 50 in a few weeks and I'm super excited about stepping into this next half of my life
Mm.
completely different.
What about being in Belize? Like, how has being in Belize impacted all of this?
Oh God. Well, there's just, part of creating our life is being able to be quiet enough to know what we want and what's working and what's not working. And when I was in the States, it was constant busyness all the time. We were working really hard and there was just we didn't have that space, or I didn't have that space. So moving here is like a deep breath. I mean, Piper, you spent so much time in Mexico and Central America. There's just it's like a texture in the air that you can't, it's just so different.
Yeah, I think about that often. Like, yes, living in different parts of Central America and the pace is just so much different and feeling really clear. Also, simultaneously very lost in those moments of my life, leaving the nonprofit, but it just being a lot easier to hear yourself. And I love everybody's take on this too, because when I started doing all of the social media posts for the podcast, I told David, I was like, I'm just going to schedule these out, but you have to monitor it because I'm just not on social media that much. And that has been a constant struggle for me. I run an online business, but I hate being on social media because that noise, there's like a pace to it that I can feel in my body. Like the moment that I open my phone and click on a thing or respond to a person, and I'm just it's like candy. There's just like all these sparkly little things that are vying for your attention, and some make you really happy and feel good. And who doesn't love like a funny dog reel? And then some make you feel like shit about yourself, like, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not successful enough, or I'm not visible enough. I have to like tune that noise out. I was telling another friend of mine who's a coach, I don't follow you. I don't follow any other coaches or consultants. I just
You're gonna,
can't.
you're gonna
Because
have
it's
to tell
too
me what you're
much.
doing because I don't know. Like,
Yeah, totally.
remember that? Remember we used to have to tell each other things?
Right.
Call you up on the telephone, leave
Just
a
like
message.
assume that I know everything's going on in your life. No, I don't. Please tell me.
Yeah. And Amy's here.
Sorry to just pop in, but you said to pop in.
That's what this is about. Yeah. It's
Hi,
kind of like
Melanie.
we're having a
in.
party.
Yeah. Hi, David.
Amazing. Well,
Hey.
Melanie, Amy, Melanie.
Melanie, it's great to meet you.
You too, Amy.
I have not gotten to listen to yours yet. I have you and it's Chris, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, like the two of you. I'm like, oh, those are going to be my therapy sessions.
Every episode has been a therapy session.
You're
like
right.
every
No.
episode has been, I'm like
True.
laughing and crying.
They're so
I'm deep
good.
in thought from the trailer. It's been so good.
Yeah. And talk about that theme music you guys have too.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I will say that this is very true. That is the only piece of anything I've ever done that I did not overthink. Like after an hour and a half, I was like, I think it's done. And I was like, don't touch it. And it was so hard for me. That's the only reason why I'm super proud of it. Because I'm just like, you know what? It's done. It's fine. I felt very.
David, it's so good. It's
Thank
so
you.
atmospheric. Like it's so just it has all of the layers in it
Thank you.
of what this is. Yeah. It's really cool.
Definitely.
It was fun to make it before we even knew what the podcast. It was probably the first thing, right? I remember because we were like, let's start a podcast. I was like, great, I'll work on a
That's what
theme
led
song.
you.
Yeah, I was like,
You're like,
let's make a
I
theme
need this
music.
piece of music. Now we have to do a podcast.
I just thought of Piper and I talking, and I was like, this sounds like what it would sound like.
Yeah. I mean, it is the summation of our friendship, the vibe of our friendship.
Just an energy check. Thank you.
Definitely.
Okay, for season 2, I would love an episode where you guys are interviewing each other because, Piper, I've known you for so long and there's so much of your story I don't know. And when I was hearing you talk about that bike ride, like you didn't have any training, just got on this bike? What?
I cried on that one when David, you interviewed Piper. I cried. Yeah. Yeah. It was
You cried as
so
well.
Because you felt so bad for what was happening to my crotch during that bike ride. Just like,
No,
what is
it's
she
just-
doing to her
No.
parts?
well, maybe a little bit. You're right, David.
Right.
There was a little bit of that.
You're
Yeah.
like, oof.
Yeah, and David, like with
was
all
so
your parties,
vulnerable. It
and
was great.
there's just so much. I want to know more about all of your guys' story too. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much.
100%.
Good to know. Yeah.
good to know,
I
yeah.
think some of the part of this was like, okay, what do people kind of want more of? I think the initial one was we were like, we did a bunch of interviews and we were like, well, hopefully there's people that have no idea who we are. It's like the goal, right? I think from making music or throwing parties for so long, at some point you're like, well, I can't just make this for my friends because I do want it to get way bigger than my friend circle, right? So it's like, how can I? So I think we were like, oh yeah, let's just like do a little bits, like the bullet points of our lives. But yeah, it would be fun to interview a little bit more.
Yeah, you guys could definitely go deeper. We'd be in.
Very
We would
true.
listen. We'd want it.
Noted.
Would there
Okay.
be anybody, would there any other topics or like some other sort of like specialist or somebody who's been on a similar journey that you feel like you'd want to hear more from? I'm curious if anybody comes to mind.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure there's so many. It's such a good like path to go on a podcast. Just bring really bold creators.
Yeah, it's been fun to kind
Yeah.
of, Piper and I sort of tangentially know some of the similar people that were like, oh, like we'll like be out and we like saw someone and we're like, oh, wait, actually that person would be pretty, you know what I mean? There's like just bits of them that I'm like, I don't know. I think when you get used to having pretty like, for lack of a better word, like wonky friends who just have like these interesting lives that you're like, oh yeah, like I think you're really interesting as a human. So like, I think other people might feel inspired by that too. So that was sort of, I think, a little bit of what landed us on some of the cast for this season.
And it's fun hearing the weave of your connections to people too. When you're like, we were at that concert. And yeah, I love that part too. It's great.
Yeah, we really
Oh.
tried to I didn't want to edit a lot of that stuff out because I think a lot about branding and storytelling. Like storytelling is branding, branding is storytelling, right? And I think that part of that conversation is like bringing you into the fold, like you're in the inner circle. Cause I think for so many of us for so long, we've always felt like we're on the outside looking in.
Mm,
This direction that I'm going is not normal. What my life looks like in my mid 40s and 50s is not normal. And that like this gets to be a space where we're all like on the inside. I think that was part of the decision of like keeping a lot of that backstory in. Like, hey, it's interesting, but it also lets you in on the who's who and the secret and all the ways that we feel like we belong to something that's really special because we know the connections. Does that make sense?
mm,
100%. And
Yeah.
also just a really good reminder of how our paths intertwine and how
Mhm.
you meet up with people in different ways. I mean, Piper, you and I are a classic example of that,
Yeah,
right? Like 20 years ago.
totally.
Like how it just goes, everything kind of weaves, and you have to remember like you're building relationships from the get-go.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and they're fun. It's so cool to like know people through their different chapters. And
yeah.
I think it's really fun, David. I know you can relate to this. It's really fun to celebrate people. Like, Amy, I think I reconnected with you. Like, I don't even know, just the screening for Inheritance here in DC. For those who haven't listened to Amy's episode, it's first episode, go back, listen to it. She and her husband worked on a documentary that took 11 years to film and then did a whole film festival tour. And it was like DC Docs or
yeah, it's
something.
DC Docs. Yeah.
DC
Thank you for
Docs, yeah.
coming to that, Piper. That meant so much. I was like, Piper's here. Oh my God.
Well, can I tell you the
Aw.
funniest thing is that you guys had not been on my radar. I mean, you're always in my thoughts, especially when I pick up a camera. And then it's just something like the universe just passed a thing in front of me. And I was like, oh, they have a documentary. Oh, there's a screening literally next week. Cool. I'm just going to go support them and check it out because I think they're interesting people and I want to celebrate them. And I'm curious about this work. And I think that's part of what I really loved how the show evolved because it was not really interviews with people. When David and I started this, it was just he and I talking shit, really.
We're talking shit, but I think we wanted to like
Great.
sound insightful. You know what I mean? Like in a sort of like I have insightful things to, you know what I mean? And it's like I think after we did like one or two, we were like, this is dumb. Like we don't want to hear
Yeah.
ourselves. Like
Well,
we hated hearing ourselves talking about it. And I was like, well, we could just like encourage others to talk about it. And that's
Yeah.
oh,
kind of
that's
how
kind of
that's kind of
interesting to hear. So you guys started on one path and then is that like the absolutely sure no idea? Like,
I was like, we got a theme song. No, I'm kidding. I mean, that is kind of what it was. It was like we had a theme song. And then we
when
basically
we're talking
just
shit.
yeah, we kind of had topics that we wanted to talk about, common things I think that we just individually will come up with like recurring themes with clients. And so we kind of wanted to theme it. And then I'll like jump on and be like, I was at Trader Joe's and I saw this guy. You're like, oh my God, I went to that show. Oh my God, I was there. Like, you know what I mean? It was like our brains were like, well, what? It was funny, but getting back to the topic didn't seem relevant. It's funny because when you're talking with somebody, Piper and Amy is a great example. It's like somebody you've known 20 years from and go, that story isn't as random because you haven't seen that person in so long. And so like, you know, like I've talked to Cry all the time, but Cry and I will just, I don't know, we'll see something and then all of a sudden we'll remind you of 15 years ago when we started you know what I mean? And so it just felt more organic. And I think it was just more fun I like more than anything, I like bragging about people that I think are amazing. And that's like, I'll
Yeah.
do it all the time. I'll just be like, oh my God, do you know blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And I just think that's like, it's like a somewhat orchestrated version of that, really.
A
That's
I
so
thousand
think,
cool.
percent.
you
That's so
know,
cool. You guys are awesome. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't wait for season 2. I'm going to
Yeah.
hop off in a minute because I have 30 minutes to exercise.
good
Understandable.
for, good for you. I am
I do my
curious
like
though.
little old lady fitness thing or whatever.
Amazing.
I love that. How has the rest of the rollout of the documentary been?
Yeah, it continued through about January for screenings, and then we got educational distribution last November. So like as
Amazing.
that died down, we signed with a film distribution company called Bullfrog Films, and
Very
they're
cool.
really they've been around for a long time, and they have a really big education Rolodex, which is what the film is proven to really build an audience at
Oh,
is the
interesting.
educational places. And
Amazing.
yeah, so that's kind of, I think it's a good fit for it, and that's where it's at right now. But yeah, it's definitely like
Yeah.
conversations with my accountant where I'm like, can I get rid of this company now because I don't want to keep dealing with this QuickBooks account?
With filing.
Can I just get
Totally.
it rid of it? And nope, I can't. So
Listeners,
we'll talk
Amy
about
is
that
making
later,
a
Piper.
nosedive movement with her hands.
Yeah, and panic at big spreadsheets with budgets and stuff like that. But yes, I'm trying to consolidate. But yeah, it's definitely going. It's landing. We're landing the
We're
plane.
landing the plane.
Yeah.
We're landing.
Congrats on getting in a really good home, though.
Mhm.
The best thing you could, I talked about this a lot with Jeff. Like, there's nothing better than being an artist who have created this like lovely thing that you spent years on. Just finding it a home that it can like live, I think is such a sign of success.
No,
I'm
it's
happy for
really
you.
cool. And Melanie, how is Belize?
It's
Right?
so nice. It's very relaxing, very quiet and chill. Yeah. I've basically taken the last 5 months off. Like I've been just, settling my
Yeah,
nervous system, eating really good, doing a lot of yoga, swimming.
amazing.
Yeah. So I'm really liking it.
Are you on the
Yeah.
ocean? Are you near the ocean?
No, I'm in the jungle. I live near Guatemala. We're inland. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Amazing.
I had to go back to the States for work. Like, oh my gosh, I
oh, I
just can't
bet.
handle the States anymore. It's so intense.
I bet. I bet. Yeah.
So,
I'm sure that's such a huge change. Good for
yeah,
you for taking that space. That's amazing.
yeah, it's been good. Yeah.
Melanie, are you
Great.
still shooting?
So, I have a few more through this year. I think there's 4 more contracts through this year, and then
Mhm.
I'll be done.
But you're not going to do it anymore.
No, I won't be shooting anymore. So I'm retiring from that.
From
Very
wedding
excited. From
photography,
weddings,
right?
from weddings.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So I'll retire from that.
So
So
next chapter.
yeah, yeah. Next chapter, we'll see where it takes me.
Oh my
So
gosh, so
I
yeah.
think
good.
it's going to take you to the States, that's for sure.
No.
No, it doesn't. You're smart.
I
You're
know.
like,
It's so funny.
it's a no for me.
I know.
Yeah.
My friends are like, oh, like, are you going to keep your house in the States? And I was like, yeah, in case I ever want to move back. And I'm thinking, I don't anticipate that ever.
Uh-huh.
I get
But
it. Yeah.
David and I can
yeah.
go live in your house. It's fine.
Yes.
Totally.
All
Totally.
right, you guys,
We
I'm
can
gonna
record
hop
this
off.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Bye.
Well,
You
Well,
gotta
it
hop,
was
Amy.
I'm gonna hop, and I just like it's so nice to just hop on here, and it's so lucky to meet you, Melanie, in Zoom
you,
person,
you too.
Zoom person.
Congratulations on everything. That's so
Oh,
great to
thanks,
meet
Melanie.
you.
You too.
Yeah, that's so
Congratulations on this
great.
next
Yeah,
chapter. So
yeah.
cool. Fiery. All
Amazing.
right.
Thanks for joining, Amy.
So
We'll
good to
see you
see
soon.
you. Enjoy your workout.
Work out for all of us.
Literally.
She was like, I have a short window where I don't have kid duty. I was like, just come for 10 minutes.
Bless your heart.
Amy has 2 really exciting projects in the pipeline. I don't know if she's allowed to talk about them yet, but maybe we'll have to have her back on and give us like an update. Anyway,
Yeah.
so Melanie, what do you feel like you're going to focus on in this next chapter? Like, what just feels fun and interesting to direct your energy towards?
So I'm going to Bali for a month at the end of this month. So I'm going to take a
Love
month to
Bali.
just chill and kind of get my nervous system back online. And then I'm not sure yet, honestly. So I'm still working. I'm going to start rev back up my manifestation work and the podcast and all that stuff for the rest of this year. But I did apply to a Peace Corps position. So I'm really hoping I get that.
Amazing.
It would be 2 years in Peru doing small business development with women in rural communities. I'm like, that's right up my alley.
Oh
So
my gosh, that
yeah,
sounds
that's what
amazing.
Yeah, but we'll see. I won't know until probably the fall. Until then, I'm just gonna keep plugging away at my work.
I love that. It's so
Wow.
needed. I don't know if you and I ever talked about, I did some work and she might actually be on season 2 of the podcast with this woman, Jenny, not of Jenny's ice cream, of Blue Marble ice cream, which is a different ice cream brand from New York. But she had a nonprofit where they took the business of ice cream and then they took it to different countries and different women's collectives and taught them business and ownership through the model of an ice cream store, essentially. And they had a project in Rwanda and a project in Haiti.
Wow.
And I went and shot in both stories, and some of the work was in this documentary about it and Oprah's magazine. And it was such a great project, but it was really cool to see um, like different cultures around business. Like it feels very privileged in the US. Like the American dream, like you can do whatever you want.
Mhm.
And there's like a freedom and creativity to it. In these other countries, it's very utilitarian. It's like,
Yeah.
what are the mechanics? Like, what are the steps? And like, what are the boxes that I need to check? It's really an interesting thing to witness, but it is so needed. And it has really created like a lot of financial autonomy and control for these women and their families. You know, I'm like such a big fan.
Yeah.
Like, all people should have entrepreneurial skills. So,
And they're teachable skills. And I think
Mhm.
I realized that actually when we first started coming to Belize years ago, I would see these small businesses or people who trying to make businesses. And I used to tell my ex-husband, like, I would just if I could just get in there and give them like they're so simple things, like simple skills that we just take for granted. I've been figuring it out running businesses since I was 20, but I had my own mentors and all kinds of stuff along the way. But there's so many basic things that we just take for granted. And yeah, it's I as soon as I saw that Peace Corps description or that job description, I'm like, this is exactly what I want to do. So yeah, we'll see if that works out.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so fantastic. We'll definitely keep us posted. We'll have you on the podcast either
Yeah.
post or like in the middle of the field. Hopefully you'll have a good internet
I hope
connection.
so. Yeah.
I have a question. It just made me think of this. Is the buzzy busyness of the United States like learning how to run a business, that sort of like transactional running a business sort of energy, like is that a benefit of being in the States? It's just like runs riot if you let it sort of energy. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you think
Yeah.
that there could be
I think part of it is like what you said, Piper, like the American dream, like that's kind of built into our DNA, right? That we can create anything, that we can create wealth. I don't see like the people in my small community here, which is, Belize is very, it's a very poor country. I don't see people feeling like they could do whatever they want or whatever they put their mind to. The minimum wage here is $2.50 an hour US.
also the reality of being able to, if you can dream it and build it, it can happen here, right? It can kind of be a blessing or something that you wouldn't get in like another country where you're taught to sort of have enough for you and then it goes outward to the rest of your village or community or people. And as to where it's like with the United States, it's like if you build it, you can just keep stacking and it's like, it's
Mhm.
never enough.
I think too, any second and third world country I've ever spent any time in, there's a utilitarian need behind the business. I mean, like the stakes are so much higher because the opportunities beyond that are so much fewer. If this business does not work, there is no, this does not work. There is no what's next or what else. In the US, we have such privilege that it's like we just open our phones and there's 1,000 people telling us how to run a business. And there's 1,000 examples of like yacht money that's being made just on the internet. And then if you're in these communities where maybe you don't have that same kind of access, or it's just not what your algorithm is feeding you, it doesn't seem like that's even a reality that you could aspire towards.
I thought you were going to go with this, which is interesting. But I think the other side of that is you can fail and you can still probably get a job at Starbucks. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to not eat. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? You can sort of like, there's a ton of examples of, like you said, yachts and people doing all these like amazing businesses. It's like, oh, here's my 800th business, you know, and it's fine. But the other side of it is there's a lot less of a risk.
If you don't have the examples in your community of people who have built something successful or who have built wealth, because everyone's just surviving. And that's what I
Mhm.
see here. I see so many people, like what you said, Piper, like they're starting this business, but it's like to have food for this week. It's
Mhm.
not, they're not thinking about creating generational wealth. That's not even a concept. That's not something that they don't see that examples of that or sustainable long-term businesses. And then yeah, so it's kind of
Mhm.
having those examples and knowing and also just knowing it's possible, like having that belief. If you don't think something's possible, how are you going to create it? Yeah.
Sure.
Was
So
there anyone in the season, Melanie, that you're like, oh, I didn't know that was possible? Or any pathway or spark created for you listening to other people's stories?
all of them, everyone. I'm like, these are the most amazing stories. I love the one about the cacao and the chocolate. And then hearing that, her great grandfather had, yeah, there was so many different pieces. And I also love listening to, I think it was Chris. Is that the one with the quiz? Was that last week?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
the safe
Yeah.
daddy quiz.
Okay, first of all, I just love, love, love listening to her because she just can talk my struggle is talking woo woo, but I love
Mm,
listening to people who are grounded and can also speak the woo woo. So I really enjoyed listening to her too.
She's fun to work with too, Melanie. You should check her out. Yeah, you'd like her a lot.
Yeah, I took the quiz. I'm an emerging sovereign is my
Look
okay.
at you two.
Come on, fellow emerging sovereign. I love it.
Totally. I
I was like,
forget.
that's spot on.
I'll have to look and see what I got. I forget what it is. Yeah, that's
Amazing.
Yeah.
amazing. And David and I actually just went to, so the cacao episode was with Gingy Fraser in Baltimore of Gingy's Chocolate. And David, I just went last week actually to say
Mhm.
hey and get some chocolate and see what was good in the neighborhood. And Gingy was not there. She was planning on being there and was in like a play date from hell. But her dad, her business partner, and her dad, Guy, were there. And it was just like the most lovely man, like
I can't
lovely,
even.
lovely human being. David, what was your favorite part about
I
being at the
can't.
shop?
He was such a gentle. I mean, speaking of like the intergenerationalness of her discovery with family and cacao farming and all that, it's so small, but it was something about her dad being there. And I was curious about this drink called an egg. Is it egg something soda?
It
I
was
wish I
like an egg cream,
Thank
right?
you. Yeah, it was
That's like
called an
the
egg
New
cream.
York
It
version.
was an egg cream soda, and it was like just like it
Mhm.
was in New York. And I mean, I've never heard of it. I mean, obviously, like, our generation didn't grow up with soda bars. I was curious, and I took a picture and sent it to my mom because my parents are from New York. And she's like, "Oh yeah, those were so good. I remember that." And I was like, "Wow, this is like a full circle situation," because I asked him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, if your mom's from New York, they would know." And I was like, "Oh yeah, they're from Queens." And he's like, "Oh, I'm from Queens." And I was like, "This is so cute right now." I just had like one of those moments where like, this is the cutest moment I think I've had in 2026 so far.
Aw.
Yeah, it was cute.
They just have like a very sweet little shop on one of the main streets in town in this one part of town. It's like Cheers, you pop in,
Mhm.
someone knows your name, you sit, you stay a while, you chit chat. I mean, I think that's kind of the beauty of Baltimore. There's a lot of places like that. That's the city's vibe. And you don't really get that in a lot of cities. It's very transactional. The pace is very hurried. We always kind of laugh like this is an East Coast thing that Maryland is below the Mason-Dixon line, the Civil War dividing line between the North and South.
Mhm.
But I think it kind of gives Maryland, which is typically more liberal, Democratic leaning that could probably be like North adjacent if we went back to the 1800s. But it has this sort of like genteel quality that you kind of find in the South, where pace is a little slower than, say, like Philly an hour north or New York 3 hours north. People are like willing to, just talk to strangers and like, hey, how you doing? And pop in and stay a while. One of my favorite things about living there was how many people just stopped by my house. Like people would just stop by and be like, hey, what are you doing? And like sit on the porch.
So I'm like a small town girl at heart. And my favorite thing about living, and even maybe my small towns were always near big cities. So like I lived in Coronado, San Diego, but
Mhm.
it's a small town. And people just stop by to say hi. When I lived in Grass Valley, the same thing. It's the same thing here too. People just stop by to say hi, okay, and then hang out a while, right? It's
Yeah.
not, yeah, and welcome anytime.
It's so nice. I mean, that's like, I think Krylon embodied that best for me. She would call him like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, whatever. She's like, okay, great. Well, I'm outside. And I'm like, you mean like now? Like she'd be like, yep. And I was like, okay, all right. And I just learned that it's like, oh, like if it's not going to be me, it's going to be the next person. That's the way that she chooses to exist. And I think it's kind of I learned a lot from it, where it was like really accepting things about people, but also accepting it in a way that I was like, yeah, this, like, you hanging out with you right now is the thing that I should be doing. And this is the universe telling me that this is exactly what I need to be doing. Instead of being like, I don't know, I was going to go to the bank and I'm in the middle of dishes and I have to do this. And it's like, no, you don't. Like, you really don't. Like, this is more important. And it's funny, I talk about this with clients a lot who struggle with like re-socializing after like addiction and stuff. And I'm like, you also could be the person that just shows up to someone's house. You don't have to wait for the person to come to your house. You can be that person. But it's like that forced socialization. I think once it's over at the end of it, no one's ever like, God, I'm really bummed that I did that.
And being present with somebody and being alive. I was just listening to Alexander Lowen. He's like, was one of my teachers years and years ago. But he was talking about pleasure and like you have to be in your body to be experiencing pleasure. And it happens like right now. It's not about thinking about it or having thoughts about it or analyzing it. It's about being present. And that's what that is, being with somebody. Like, no one who's ever come to my house gives a shit if my dishes are dirty or the laundry's like, they don't care. That they're not there to judge. They're there to have a real human connection. And with what you said, Piper, with social media, it's what we're so lacking right now. People will respond on social media, but then are they actually going to show up and sit with you, like in your hard times or in your good times or in no times, just having some tea on the porch, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was something I really struggled with, like leaving the nonprofit, the Tool Library, is because I had built this massive community. Anytime any of us went anywhere, it was like, okay, let's invite everybody. And we'd roll places like 40 people deep. And people stopping by my house, like people popping into the library, popping into the office, like bringing some snacks, bringing their dinner and sharing it with us. It was just a full on connection all the time. And for an only child in a single parent household, it took me a minute to get adjusted to that. John loved it because he is from a big family and they're all super tight. And so he was just in heaven all of the time. But when I got used to it and I really started to love it and love that sense of connection and belonging and community, leaving the library and traveling, I knew I was going to have to be the one that worked hard to keep those connections fresh. I tried so hard and I just had to come to grips with the fact it's like, I know it's not me, that they still like me as a person, but it's out of sight, out of mind. Like, I don't live there anymore. Like, of course, I'm not going to be thought of in the same way. I'm not going to be invited to the little things here and there, or maybe not even the big things that often. That was a pretty big heartbreaking moment for me. And then just having to come to terms with like, this is part of the life and human experience is like things come and things go. And if connections are important to you, you have to sometimes do the work more so than maybe the other person. My husband, John, was really good friends with this one guy. They've been friends since middle school. And the guy's busy and has a young kid. And John just knows, he's like, yeah, I'll never stop reaching out to him. I just know that that's the cost of this friendship. And I'm totally okay with it because I love him. It's just like, that is so amazing. I think you do have to, like have those people sometimes. I think social media for me just, it like cheapens that quality of connection. In some ways, I rebel against it. It's like, I'd rather you not know anything about me than just the surface stuff. I would rather not know anything about you than the surface stuff. I would rather call you or text you or stop by and say, hey, how's it going? I don't want to know about your life from some random shit you posted in your stories.
The highlight reel.
Highlight reel.
The highlight reel. Damn, I know.
Totally.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Totally.
I think that's a good thing that John realizes. Like, I feel similarly. There's people in my life that I've gotten okay with the fact that I know I'm going to be the one to have to initiate it again. And sometimes it's like, yeah, there's a little bit of like, ugh. But at the same time, like, I also would rather still have the friendship than let go of it. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, no one's saying I need to do it when I'm the busiest in my life. It's like, no, like, and I think that also speaks to knowing that part of yourself. Like if you're just more of that person than that person naturally is, I love connecting people or like bringing people together or like, I mean, I'm an Aries sun and moon. I'm an initiator through and through. I'm like, you want to do it? Let's do it. Like, boom, it's happening. So it's like, I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? It's when I feel like I try and I don't, and I get shut down or someone's like, oh, I'm too busy or I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Then I'm like, then you don't care and you're not trying. It's like, there's a difference. You know what I mean? Like,
there's a line.
Yeah, there's a line between like, just if you have to like, the equivalent of like tapping on somebody's photo or liking it in order for them to stay top of mind. It's like, fine, I'll be the one to send the initial text, but don't tell me you're too busy because, I have my one first partner back in the day would say, we all have the same 24 hours. And I was like,
Yeah.
But it rings in my mind every time I say that. I'm like, oh my God, it's so true. It's choices. What choices are you making? So.
Yeah, like I'll tap you 3 times, but if you say no 3 times, I'm not going to tap you again.
Right. That's true. I'll tap you 3 times if you like, if you get back to me 3 months later. Well, is that a relationship? I'm like, no,
we're not doing that.
That's
my rule.
3 times, 3 taps. But I have to say, like, so I guess it's also what do they have going on in their life too that maybe it's not so much about me or about them not wanting to connect with me. It can be easy to take it personally, but
yeah, you got to have like a 50,000-foot view of the situation for sure.
Yeah. So
it kind of like ebbs and flows too. It's like, oh, maybe this is the season that I'm the initiator, and then they go through a season where they are, and it's fine too. But I love that about you, David. You are such a good initiator, and I'm always like, anytime you're like, hey, and I'm like, yes,
do it. You know what I love too, David? I love that what you talked about celebrating people.
Oh, thanks.
I think it's so important. So many people, they don't want to celebrate because they feel like, they don't want to brag on themselves, And I remember talking to one of my friends. They just sold this campground the campground RV park that they developed. But they're like, oh yeah, we bought a house in New Zealand.
What?
I'm like, what? I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, seriously, why are you not telling me? Why are we not celebrating this? Oh yeah, we got one in Canada too. I'm like, you guys, this is huge. We celebrate all of these things. And they're just, and they were legit, they were so surprised. And they're like, usually people just like see it as bragging or they get jealous. There was just this level where they didn't want to share their huge wins because of fear of being judged or fear of, I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I think the space has been a really good place for that. I've loved getting to notice people. David, I can't speak for your experience with it, but just say, hey, what you've done is cool. And I think people would really like to hear your story. Like, come talk about it with us. And just I don't know, it's so funny, like, everyone has been so humble about it. Like, "Who, me?"
Right.
Like, "Yes, you." Right? And then, like, everyone has gotten, like, such amazing feedback from the listeners, like, "Oh, I loved this episode with this person and that person for these reasons, and so much resonated." I'm like, "Yes, this is, like, getting to." It does feel different when it's just you up there tooting your own horn, which I think is,
Mm.
when David and I started the podcast, it felt a little bit like that of like, let us talk about our insights. Not that our insights aren't valuable and we don't also have a story to tell, but our insights aren't really that original. Like there's really no original ideas or things anymore, right? We're just
Sure.
kind of hearing it in new ways from different people we might resonate with more. But I think just like hearing similar insights through the lens of lots of different people's stories,
Mhm.
I don't know. I think it just landed differently and had more of an impact. So, yeah, it was fun to celebrate people by tapping them and say, hey, you have insights that I think other people would like to hear about.
I
Yeah.
also think there's something about finding it when you're not necessarily looking for it specifically. Like, I mean, sure, on one hand, like last night, actually, there was someone that I work with who referenced something from he was like, was listening to the podcast and they referenced something that I was like, oh, yeah, it's something that you said here. And it has been nice to be like, I'll have a client and be like, well, you know what you should listen to? You should listen to Melanie's episode at this point when she talks about this. That's been really cool, actually, to kind of like use a resource that you know really well to be like, check this out. That part's been great. It's been nice to kind of have that. What I think I like about it so far is like by highlighting people, they are getting the info. I'm relating a little bit to what AA used to be like when you went to a meeting and yes, you were there to work on yourself, but then all of a sudden somebody would share something that you were not expecting at all. And those are the moments like it's when you encounter something that you don't quite know that you were looking for it until it shows up and you're like, ah, that's the thing I needed to hear. I think
Mhm.
that's the best part about celebrating people is because I had those moments or witnessed them when I was with that person. And then just by virtue of knowing them well enough to know what the conversation would probably exude some of that is what I think other people's need to hear. But I can go, oh, you should check out this person's documentary because it's going to exude that. Like, no, that person exudes that. And so it's been nice to conjure up someone's energy or being or insight by virtue of just them being them. So it's like, how can I display that? Because it's almost not, I mean, it could be, we could sit here and be really specific about each person, but I think it's all of it that makes it special.
Mhm.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, totally makes sense. That totally, especially, I started in Al-Anon this summer,
Uh,
and oh my gosh, hearing my story from somebody else or having that resonance of like, oh, this is a human experience. What I felt as I was listening to every episode, like people that have
mm,
in completely different careers, like I'm crying and relating to their process or to their story or to their struggle or I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, we
sure.
all like, that's so universal. Yeah.
I mean, congratulations for
Ay.
finding your way to Al-Anon. I mean, God, that program like changed my life in ways that I can't even begin to talk about. A specific language that I needed at that time, and
Mhm.
just hearing people's stories that I was not expecting to relate to so much, and then like stuff that I didn't even think I needed to like look at. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. But like it's been really cool to like highlight people that I think will just have that same impact on other people. Like that part has been really great. Like somebody's gonna make you feel seen and supported, which I think was ultimately like a big goal for me for this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I love it. Well, I have to jump off, but it was so good to see you guys. Is season 2, are you guys already working on season 2?
Yeah, we're brainstorming. We've got some guest ideas. We're starting to reach out. Probably my hope is we can record over the summer
Mhm.
now that we have everything, the process down, deliver it a little bit
Mhm.
faster. And yeah. So
Can't
if you
wait.
have anybody in mind, send them our way.
Yeah, I'll definitely send you my friends Erin and Dan, who just sold their amazing, beautiful visionary campground that they created. Was stunning.
So great.
But yeah, but
Right.
definitely want to hear more from you guys too.
Thank
Will
you.
do.
So good to see you. Take care,
Bye,
Melanie.
Melanie.
Bye-bye.
Oh, I'm so glad they popped in. That was
Cutie.
amazing.
I love that.
Yeah, it was so interesting. I was listening to Krylon's episode when it came out, and it was one of those really beautiful, like sunny and 75 days that we had before that stretch of rain.
Mm-hmm.
And with every single one of the episodes, hearing it with fresh ears, it coming through Apple Podcasts made it real, made more of it rather than just like on my computer editing it.
Yep.
Hearing hers with fresh ears around God can't catch you if you don't leap.
Mm.
And that was one of the quotes we pulled for social media because no matter if you're a religious person or not, like her story embodies that so well and
Mm-hmm.
is filled with so much magic and also a lot of hardship. Twists and turns like that are not easy. And she talks about it in her poetry and that being a place for her and what the pandemic was like and what living in New York in the 90s and starting to transition and then detransitioning was like. And, I just so appreciated her sharing all of that. And then she would still leap
Mm-hmm.
and still trust. And it was the exact thing that I needed to hear, even though I had heard it 40 times over, a 6-month period editing the episode. Prior to that, it was like, I just needed to hear it in that moment. And I think that's one of the things I've been surprised about on this journey
Hmm.
and really grateful that we decided to let it unfold the way that it needed to unfold and not try to direct it so much.
Yes. I think without running the risk of getting too 12-steppy, it's the third step. It's basically believing that something bigger is happening other than just you and you can let go and let that be the thing. And so again, that doesn't have to be anything religious. It's just more of like acknowledging that there are all these things around you that are happening and that the belief in that is the powerful part of it. I think when we can get into this, like, what am I doing? What am I not doing? We're afraid to take a jump or whatever. It's like, that's all still centered in self,
Mhm.
And then if we can just believe in the process of whatever process, even if it's the process you're on, even if it's the process of like, I don't know what's next, is still a process, right? There is
Mhm.
still like, I refer to it as like the R&D stage, right? You're exploring, you're letting yourself explore the hallway, as we've talked about before, that one of my old aunties used to say. She used to be like, David, you're in the hallway. And it was so helpful because I could let myself be there. But
Mhm.
even that is like acknowledging that you're jumping into something you don't know.
Mhm. I love that you reminded me of that hallway analogy. I think being in the hallway is hard for people like you and I.
Mm, say more.
Because, like, you're, Aries sun and moon, like, you like to have your social calendar planned months in advance, and I adore this about you, and I,
Mhm.
like, love your nudges, I love your check-ins, I love how much fun you are to be around, but it's like, being in any kind of limbo, you don't like it, and I do not either, because I'm a go-getter. It's like, I have a Leo rising, like, let's be on the stage, like, let's do the performance, like, yay. And it's
Mhm.
very like go energy, do energy. And that's just kind of like a part of my story and my spirit as well.
Sure.
And like kind of being in the unknowing is sometimes pretty painful. Not always. Sometimes like, well, here I am and that's fine. I don't really want to worry about it much. But
Sure.
sometimes I'm like, but no, I want to go in this direction. And I know like you and I had a little bit of tension around that in the production process of this. I'm like, okay, we
Mhm.
need to like get this out there a little bit faster. And you had said something to me that really landed and I didn't like it at first. And you were totally right. My argument was like, well, what if we record this and then we release it a year later? All of what people are sharing is not going to be timely. And you were like, Piper, if the subject matter is good, it will be timeless. That was the gist of it. And I was like, fuck, you're right. it's fine to be in the hallway with this.
Sure.
Yeah. Not that I wanna take another year to make season 2, but I think we, like, learned a
Sure.
lot in that process, and I think it that was, like, such an important lesson for me because I've shared this with you before. It has been a while since I've creatively collaborated with anybody.
Mhm.
I'm so used to working siloed and yeah, that it took trust in the process and trust like this is all going to come together when it needs to come together. And it ended up working out great because then you had life stuff and then I had life stuff and we could kind of bat back and forth. Okay, now you do this and then I got to step away and then I'm going to do this and you got to step away. And it was fine. It was totally
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Probably better than fine. We were coming together when the universe was like, yeah, it's time now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's like I think I learned this like in a glimpse of it and I never did it, but I always would try. And some like one producer guy was like, you have to leave enough room for the magic to happen in the studio. You can't overly plan it. You're there to kind of capture lightning in a bottle. You know what I mean? And I mean, Cry will be the first to tell you. She'd be like, what's the rush? I'd be like, in my mind, like, what do you mean it's like, you know what I mean? I'm like trying to I'm like routing tours in my head and thinking of all these things and her ability to just be present in the actual thing we were doing, which is the creating music part. And I was like, oh, got it.
Mhm.
Like I recognized I wasn't present. And so I think even when any sort of life thing that involves creativity, you need to be able to be present, but present almost for not even just for yourself or the person that you're with, but for the lightning in the bottle.
Mhm.
I thank you for allowing us to be able to be present for capturing the lightning in the bottle. I think we did it.
I think we did it too. And I learned more about that as a process
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, yeah, space and room to breathe and like room for that. And like two things can be true at the same time.
You're like,
I love
and I have all
what
of our people booked for June. Just kidding.
right, like and we're recording every week for the next 6 weeks now. Um and like thinking about Tara's episode when she was talking about the moments that she has kind of dipped downward. We all kind of experience moments where we dip downward. She didn't have momentum. And that, like, momentum in some ways is kind of like the cure for
Mm,
depression, anxiety, questioning, doubt, like all of the negative emotions that we don't want to experience. It's usually because there's no momentum around something or all things in your life. And I think with
sure.
this podcast, when I really love it is because there's momentum. It's like if we're talking about it or seeing each other more frequently, or I've got spots on the calendar where I'm editing it, I'm touching it. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be these big pushes, but I'm just spinning the plate, like a little
Yep.
tap, spin the plate again. And I think that was the biggest lesson for me was okay, going forward, what does momentum look like in knowing that that too helps me feel like in this creative process that it's meaningful.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I think it's been helpful when we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. And I was like, I think you caught me on a very overwhelmed day. And honestly, a lot of my weeks have been that because I've just been pretty stacked with clients. And that's a whole other conversation that we're going to have with my therapist. But, anyways, you being like, it's only 2 hours a week, or it's only 2 hours a month. You can handle it. And I was like, God damn it, you're fucking
Zing!
so right. But it's true. It really is. So I'm like, what am I? You know what I mean? But it's like, you don't have to carry the weight of the project all the time. You
Yeah.
just need to show up to it in the way that you are honoring yourself, the other person, and the ability to capture the light in the bottle. And I think that's way better than, I don't know if I could take on another seat. You know what I mean? Like, no, you're just doing that. And I think that keeps the momentum going, keeps it alive, and it's
Mhm.
important. And I mean, truthfully, since we've started this podcast, I've decided to go get my master's, and I'm not excited about it currently, and I'm okay with not being excited about it. because I know that it's something that I need to do, but that doesn't mean I have to be excited about it right now. Like, I think I'll get there. I'm also a little mad that I have to do it. And that's how I've always been with anything that feels like it involves some sort of a credential. I'm like, but do I really need, you know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
I think that's just me being a brat, and I'm okay with that. And that's me not liking authority, and I'm also okay with that.
David, I don't think, I mean, yes, but I also think higher education is such a fucking expensive sham. It's
Sure.
like, yes, you're going to learn stuff and there will be things that are valuable, but it's so much money. It's an antiquated system. It feels so ridiculous and that versus what you actually get out of it. So all those feelings are completely valid.
Yeah, I agree with you. Fully a sham. I mean, I feel very validated. The boss who runs where I work at, she's like, all you got to do is find the cheapest one. You don't need any more experience. You don't need any more. She's like, you have everything. She's like, you and I, she knows exactly what it is. And I'm like, I love you for
Yeah.
this. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to find the cheapest
Bowie
one.
State, here we come.
That part. Do we stay online, baby?
Woo!
So it felt good because that part of my life felt in flux. And I like, again, I, going back to what you were saying, I don't like it when I don't like it when I'm in the hallway and I'm like, okay, this is a long hallway, but at least I know what's in the hallway. And
Yeah, it's like you know how the doors are labeled.
I know what house I'm in. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I'm like, oh, fine. Like, you know what I mean? When you're going through things, like when you're going through like school or master's program, it's so much more important to do the things that are going to balance you out
Mm.
or at least fuel you up before you. So I'm excited about recording season 2
Yes,
before that begins.
me too. I like our tentative list of people we're reaching out to.
Yeah.
If anyone is listening and you're like, oh, I would love to be on this podcast, hit us up on Instagram and tell us why. Tell us your story. Give us a,
Please.
5-minute synopsis. We would love to hear it from you. We've already had a few people reach out, which I think is so cool that it's resonated with you enough to take that step. And I guess Melanie was like the 4th person, or maybe she was the same person. She told me multiple times, like, I want to hear from you and David. No, my friend Elise said it. Someone else said it. Okay, so let's
Yeah,
just say it's 3. 3 people have said it. Maybe more are thinking it.
sure. Yeah, I think Keenan may have said it too. So,
Amazing.
yeah, anybody who's listening, just anybody that you know, maybe you don't know, just send us our way. We'd love to. I think part of the excitement is getting really curious about the person, even if we don't know them.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's what a lot of season 2 will be too, is kind of like expanding our circle outward. Like, I think you and I are really lucky where we've just always chosen a more unconventional path our whole lives. We've collected a lot of really interesting people, and the
mhm.
people in these 10 episodes from season 1, they're just 10 people. And we've probably collected hundreds of interesting people. And yeah, just kind of seeing how it continues to compound and expand outward. I would love for this to continue to be a growing community of guests meeting each other and guests bringing on new guests, spiraling outward.
Just to hear people who have taken those leaps and also hearing people's failures, because it makes it less scary. It makes you sort of do the, well, what if? And, if the what if is like I tried and I'm back at Starbucks, that's so much better. You know what I mean? Than have never trying.
Definitely. And y'all, Starbucks has good benefits. Love them or
Right. I
hate
feel like
them.
I just plugged them like twice. Like I don't even fuck with Starbucks like that, but they are everywhere. You gotta admit.
They are everywhere. I'm not mad. You're trying.
Seriously. We love some support.
Totally. Uh,
All right,
how
my
do we
dear.
how do we wrap this episode, their final episode?
I don't know, but I'm so bummed that you're not coming to James Blake anymore.
I know, I'm such an
I
idiot. I don't
know.
know what I was thinking. So that week, a couple people had said different things about different shows, and I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'm gonna buy tickets." And I bought tickets, I just realized now, only for like half of them. I just stopped somewhere along the process.
Right.
Then I'm like, "I don't have it in my Ticketmaster for James Blake," but it's
Oh,
fine.
no.
It's fine. You're meant to have a birthday date with Darren tonight.
I know. I'm very excited, but We're going to have some fun episodes to record this summer. We're also going to have some fun beach time and many other excursions.
Totally. We also have some bonus episodes that we can release, some B-sides that didn't quite make the cut for season 1 that are pretty entertaining, where
Sure.
maybe you could hear some of our early episodes where we were trying to be so insightful. David and I are talking about shit that we know. But then we also take field trips to see the very famous Free Park Turnstile show that happened last year at the release of their latest album. And we go see Baby Rose and we go see
Baby
Future
Rose,
Islands. And we have a lot to
Islands, yeah.
say about those things.
We did have a
So
lot to say about this.
this will not be the last of us until season 2. There will be little treats that get doled out. So keep listening.
We're
Keep
keeping
being a
it. We're
part of it.
keeping the hope alive. Keep your dreaming spirit afloat.
All right, my
All right,
friends.
babe.
Till next time.
Take care, guys. See you soon.
Well, my friends, that's a wrap on season 1, and we're already creating season 2. If you don't want to lose the thread between now and when we come back, join the email list. The link is in the show notes, and when you do, you're going to get access to some bonus content that isn't going to be released any place else. I'm talking a few cringy first episodes before we knew what this was going to be, some field trip episodes, and some behind the scenes. So hop on that list before we return with new episodes. Thanks again for listening and supporting this season. Your comments and reviews meant so much to us, and we'll be back soon with brand new episodes for season 2.